Hello and welcome to the Dr. Grant Show. My name is Dr. Kirsten Grant and I am your show host for today. Today's show topic is called Take the Guesswork Out of Cutting Sugar Cravings. This show is intended for anyone that suffers from and wants to be empowered from food addictions such as overeating, emotional eating, binge eating, and food cravings. Let's get into the topics. So, the key to taking the guesswork out of cutting sugar cravings really rests in two areas. We have to, number one, look at why you are craving your sugar fix in the first place. And this normally falls in those two areas of, is it habitual as to the reason why you're craving that sugar craving? Or is it, number two, biological? Allow me to explain. Habit. When it's a habitual sugar craving, this means that you are either associating a certain action in your life with consuming that sugar, or it's an identity. And what I mean by that is many women I speak to identify themselves as, oh, I am a sugar fiend. I love eating cookies because, and fill in the blank here. I once chatted with a client that she always felt the need to eat chocolate chip cookies when she sat down after a hard day at work, feeling that I am an executive. I work really hard to bring about change and to help my company make millions of dollars. So doggone it, I deserve these chocolate cookies when I sit down and I kick my shoes off. There's only one problem. Because of the fact that she associated and she identified herself as an executive that deserved said sweet treat, and because of the fact that she was combating food addiction, this meant that one or two chocolate chip cookies often led down the path to eating 10 chocolate chip cookies, or maybe even the whole bag within a short period of time, which is known as a binge. And this is the reason why I talk about the two parts here for the craving and addressing them. If we don't fairly look at, are we associating with our habit here, and that's the root cause, or is it an identity issue? It's extremely important to understand the difference between the two. Without understanding the first tier and the difference between the two, efforts to go on what's called fancy sugar detoxes or cut sugar from your diet forever, all of those fun themes, even if you try to eat healthier and substitute out your sugar for, say, for example, the healthier alternatives such as maple syrup and flavoring and sweetening certain items with the healthier sweeteners, such as, once again, maple syrup, agave nectar, monk fruit extract, stevia. All of these efforts are going to be short-lived because we haven't addressed the why behind the craving. So first, we have to get into understanding, is it habitual or habit or biological? Association also means, under the habit, association also means, hey, your body loves you. It wants to make you feel good. So it gets into the habitual association of, once you get home and you are alone, you can finally unwind, exhale, and eat. Scientific studies have shown that people that suffer from food addiction often consume their foods and excess amounts of foods by themselves. It's rarely in a group, it's rarely at work, it's usually by themselves after everything has calmed down. So this is the reason why it's important to once again identify why the craving. Is the why for your sugar craving rooted in habit, or is it rooted in biology? If it is habit, that means that is psychological, and here's the bright spot. There are tools for that. There are tools for that it can help you shift your association, shift your identity, and next thing you know, you're not craving that item, especially if it is a specific item that you really, really desire. And all you can think about is that specific item, but you want to stop liking it and move from liking the item to disliking the item. I have a technique that I utilize in my Phoenix 6 method that is so effective that if you sincerely want to shake that desire for that specific item, it taps into the subconscious mind, reprograms your brain in as few as 2 sessions, and that item that you used to like, you no longer like it. Isn't that great? I've used this successfully with things that are even not sugar, such as pizza, cheese, things of that nature. And of course, it can work with a certain sugar item as well, if it's cookies or a sweet chip or something like that. So the key here on the habit side, because it's psychological, is to number one, identify the root of it, and then implement said tool and technique to cut that sugar craving down and completely eliminate it. Now, let's get into the biological. The biological portion has 3 different parts to it. First, mineral deficiency could be one cause. Second, eating too many carbs. Notice, I didn't say just carbs, I just said too many. Third, not enough sleep. Let's do a deep dive into this, shall we? The first one, with the mineral deficiency as a core issue. Mineral deficiencies, your body has no way to officially send you a email telling you, hey, woo, I am really, really light on magnesium or vitamin C. If you're not attuned to your body and what certain cravings for food mean, people will commonly misinterpret these cravings for certain vitamins and minerals as certain food cravings. For example, did you know often when women especially say they're craving chocolate, excluding that time of the month, they're craving chocolate because often that's the body's very subtle way of kind of nudging you a little bit and sharing with you that you're low on magnesium. Now, what is the solution to that? Eating things such as spinach, pumpkin seeds, cashews, and sunflower seeds. These items are power-packed with magnesium, and they are absolutely wonderful for helping begin to curb the urge for sugar cravings in the form of chocolate. Another example, I had a client that shared with me she often experienced cravings for soda and pop. Depends on which part of the pond you're from. Some people refer to carbonated beverages as soda, and some people refer to the carbonated beverages as pop. It just depends on where you're from. But did you know that oftentimes it's not that you're craving the soda, it's that your body is trying to give you a gentle nudge to let you know that it's low on vitamin C, which is an easy fix. All we'd have to do is increase the amount of vitamin C that one consumes. Vitamin C, or shall I say high amounts of vitamin C, can be found in cauliflower, red, green, and yellow bell peppers, as well as broccoli. Now, before this gets misconstrued, I am not suggesting that if you crave soda or pop that you run out and you grab a head of broccoli and bite into it. It's simply not going to work that way. Your subconscious mind, as well as your mind, is definitely not going to go for that. What I am suggesting to you in order to make this work is to begin to track and notice your food craving patterns for probably 1 week. As you begin to track your food cravings and your patterns, a certain rhythm will begin to emerge. And this is when you begin to slowly incorporate more of these items that I have mentioned in your normal eating regimen. And if you're running out of ideas already, this concept seems just a little bit far-fetched, or if you need a little bit of help on ideas, definitely log on to edibleaddiction.com and schedule a free get to know you session. This way, I will hold space for you for an entire hour, and we will review several different ways based on what it is that you like to eat and the way that you operate and the tempo and rhythm of your day, how to effectively integrate this into your life. Because you can have the knowledge, but if you don't know how to integrate it into your life, then all is lost. Another example I like to give you, sweets in general, such as pastries, cookies. There are scientific studies that have shown that often this is an indicator of a need for sulfur and that it's lacking and your body may be slightly deficient in it. Now, remember, this doesn't have to be a significant deficiency in order for your body to gently nudge you in the direction of this craving. In order to tip the scales and the balance of what will be called homeostasis in your body, it only requires a slight drop in levels. And these levels may or may not be detected by standardized medical blood tests and lab results. But so far as your own unique biochemical makeup, this is what gives you the gentle nudge and prod by your body to let you know that, woohoo, hey, I'm probably a little bit low in these trace ingredients and minerals and vitamins. So what's the solution for sulfur? To begin to integrate various foods in your diet and eating regimen that contain sulfur. You don't have to start off with all of the meals every single day. One could simply pick perhaps just 3 meals a day, a certain percentage perhaps over the course of the week to start increasing the consumption. Foods that are good sources of sulfur include but are not limited to eggs, peas, spinach, and lettuce. The next item I like to cover with you is, under biological, is eating too many carbs. Once again, notice I didn't say eating carbs, I just said eating too many. Let's take a wee bit of a deep dive into how the body functions and works on carbs and how carbs work in the body. When you consume carbs, carbs break down into glucose, and your body uses glucose to give you fuel and energy. When a person eats only carbohydrates, and that's what carbs is short for, carbohydrates, what happens is the insulin levels in your blood, they spike sky high when you only eat carbs. And next thing you know, 1 hour later, there's a sharp and drastic drop, which causes your body to all of a sudden need that quick pick me up energetically again. And this is what sends the slight flag in your brain, almost like a little blinking bulb, like your check engine light, getting low on sugar here, getting low on energy. And the next thing you know, your body says, I love you. Let's go ahead and grab that cookie. And you didn't even plan to do so. So, what is the solution? The solution is not to eliminate carbs. Carbs are not your enemy. The solution in this case is to obtain a good form of carb for starters. Good forms of carbs might include something along the lines of like sweet potatoes, for example. Another solution includes pairing your carbohydrates with a protein and or a fat. What happens when you do that is the carbohydrate supplies the body with glucose, but it's not a sharp and drastic spike. Another important thing to note here. Okay. All right, and we are back. Excellent. So we lost the signal for a moment. Sorry about that. All right, so what I was discussing was the carb thing, eating too many carbs. The solution to this is to eat fat and or protein with your carb. You see, the benefit here is when one consumes fat and or protein, it suppresses the chemical that's responsible for hunger, which is called ghrelin, which is exactly what you want. You don't want to eat your carb and less than 1 hour later, you're frantically looking for a quick pick-me-up and looking to eat a cookie or some unhealthy alternative. By pairing a fat and or a protein with your carbohydrate, not only are you getting the benefit of a delicious carb, but you also don't give in to sugar cravings because you're not driven by hunger. The final point, not enough sleep. Essentially, scientific studies have shown that people that don't receive adequate sleep, essentially, it reduces impulse control and lowers brain activity. So that fantastic idea to run out and grab a box of cookies with that double stuffed filling on your lunch break instead of the healthy snack that you packed in your bag, it gets way more tasty and appealing, which is not what you want. So this is everything. Well, this is really not everything, but this is a nice big chunk and approach as to how to take the guesswork out of cutting sugar cravings painlessly without losing your mind. Hopefully this makes sense. So if this makes sense to you, if this sounds like what you've been missing and you would like to learn how to cut sugar cravings out of your life and do it painlessly, then definitely hop on over to edibleaddiction.com and register for a free get to know you session. And let's see and identify several areas based on your life and your needs, tailored to what works for you that we can explore and cover. All right, everybody, thank you so very much for watching the Dr. Grant Show. And I cannot wait to share with you what we have going on for the next upcoming weeks, because this was just simply one part taking the guesswork out of cutting sugar cravings. Hey, and I see somebody joined us. Hey there, welcome to the show. We were just talking about taking the guesswork out of cutting sugar cravings. Let me know if you want like a quickie recap, and I will be more than happy to let you know. Because what we covered was something really, really cool. And we talked about the importance of addressing the why behind the craving. Because if we don't address the why behind the craving, any efforts to make it work, it's going to really just go down in flames. Big old dumpster fire. So let me know if you'd like for me to just do a deeper dive into any key points, but I'm going to give you just a bird's eye view of the things that I covered in tonight's episode. Is that okay? I'm just going to assume you're saying yes. So the why the craving, we talked about habit or biological. Habit, we have 2 points there. Are you associating something with eating the sugar craving? Okay, you say yes. All right, cool. And if there are any areas, ask Mrs. Logan that you would like for me to just take a detour and off ramp to, definitely let me know and I'll make sure to do it just to answer whatever are your key areas that are causing you any challenges, okay? All right. So, habit or biological? Habit means, are you associating or identifying with your sugar craving? What I mean by that is, when you associate something, that means that, oh, you get home from work, and according to scientific studies, many people that consume sugar and give into their sugar cravings, they're doing it out of association. They come home, they sit down, they turn on their favorite show, and when everything is calm, they begin to overeat on said sugary item. So that is an example of association. It can be different for everybody, but the key is to be able to identify it. And this is something that falls under social cognitive theory called the precondition for change. When you are aware of what the problem is and what the situation is that's triggering your response to something, you've already created a precondition for change, and that puts you light years ahead of anyone that doesn't know what the problem is, and therefore you can't fix it. Hopefully that makes sense. So the key here under habit, good information, thank you. So the key thing here under your habit, association versus identity, I just covered association, meaning, okay, it's a certain action that happens that precedes you deep diving into said box of cookies, your sweets, or whatever. Identity is you, and usually this happens at a young age, where as a child, many people report identifying when you're being good, you get a cookie. So an example that I gave earlier in the segment was I identify an executive that I was working with as a client. She identified that I've saved the company money. I've had a lot of stress, and doggone it, I've been good all day. Therefore, I deserve this cookie. Problem is, in her case, 1 cookie turned into 3 cookies turned into 4. Before she knew it, she had eaten the whole entire box of cookies. And that's not what she wanted. And when we started talking about it, she began to realize, oh my goodness, I identify with being good equals I should receive a cookie. And that triggered her because she wrestled with food addiction and food addiction symptoms such as the overeating and the food binging. Next, I'm going to give you a bird's eye view of biological. Ask Mrs. Logan, definitely, once again, if there's anything that is ringing your bell and you're just like, more of that, definitely let me know because I'm here to serve. Biological, there are 3 points there. Mineral deficiency. 2, eating too many carbs. 3, not enough sleep. For mineral deficiency, because your body can't send you an email, it can't mail you a letter, it can't knock on your door and say, hey, I'm kind of low here on certain key minerals. What it will wind up doing is giving you a gentle nudge in the direction of a certain craving. So, for example, if you're craving chocolate, excluding that time of the month, I think almost all bets are off. But if you're craving chocolate, often that's your body's gentle way of nudging you and letting you know that it's low on magnesium. So what's the solution? Infusing more foods into your diet and your normal eating regimen throughout the day and the week that contain magnesium. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge amount. It can just simply be 3 meals that you pick. It could be a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, for example, just to get you started. And you can determine what works for you. Foods that are super power packed with magnesium, just so you don't have to go out and look, would be spinach, pumpkin seeds, cashews, and sunflower seeds. Now remember, you don't have to, in this case, you don't have to sit up there and just take a whole handful of pumpkin seeds and shove them in your mouth. That's not your thing. You can sprinkle pumpkin seeds or cashews or sunflower seeds on a certain dish that you normally would eat to make this less challenging. So hopefully that kind of helps. So you can either get funky with it and make it into a pie crust, and that's something we can talk about on the cooking segments. Spinach, same thing. You can, not the pie crust part, although you could make a quiche with it. I've got tons of ideas. That's why we do the cooking segments too. And we do this also in the edible addiction program, where I'll talk about this stuff and then I'll say, hey, anybody interested in just like whipping up something really fast? And then I'll whip up something to show you like step-by-step different ways that you can do it. So you're not just lost. Oh, hold on. And I see, oh, Deborah. Hey, Deborah, you say you look so healthy. Yes, thank you so much. I've been snacking away on green tea, and actually I've been discovering, my husband made a salad for Thanksgiving that contained tons of pumpkin seeds, which was really, really awesome because it's also great for skin elasticity, but that's a whole nother subject for a whole nother day. Thank you. Another thing that I chatted with you guys about earlier was if you're craving soda under the mineral deficiency. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. If you're craving soda, that's your body's gentle way of nudging you in the direction of getting some vitamin C. So once again, you don't want to grab the vitamin C infused item in lieu of soda. Your subconscious mind and your mind is not going to go for that at all. It's going to say, give me the soda. What you do is that you sneak it and you worm it in throughout the course of your day. Oh, and you say your recipes sound amazing. Oh, they're fun. They're so fun. They are uber fun. And I enjoy making them too, because my thing is, let's give you a solution instead of rambling on about what your problem is. Let's just get on down, roll up our sleeves, and make something that you like to eat. And that's going to ensure that you keep going. So your solutions with the vitamin C, cauliflower. And I'm only giving you, there are more items, by the way, that are filled with vitamin C. The key here is I'm picking the items that are way super power packed with vitamin C. So for every serving of these items that I'm recommending to you, you're going to get a super abundant serving of vitamin C and magnesium as well. Anything I'm recommending. Now, there are other things that have trace amounts of vitamin C. You can play with that as well, but these are just my top recommendations based on the scientific research that I did. So cauliflower, if you want solutions or funds, a recipe on cauliflower, you can definitely check out my shrimp scampi on a bed of red cabbage and green cauliflower for extra vitamins. And that was a food segment that I aired here on Instagram. So cauliflower, red, yellow, green bell peppers, or broccoli. Once again, infuse these throughout your day, throughout the week, so it's not so challenging. Start by adding it to a few meals, like 2 or 3. Pick a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner, just to begin to see your desire to eat sugar go down, and that's the goal. Sweets. If you're craving sweets, for example, like pastries, okay, pies, sometimes this is also a sign of a mineral deficiency. And remember, when I say mineral deficiency, everyone is unique. What works for one person doesn't work for another person. It doesn't mean that you have a significant, drastic mineral deficiency. If you were to go get a blood analysis, it may indicate that you're perfectly fine. But as it pertains to your body, and here's the key here, your body during this time, point, and chapter in your life, is it possible that your body is craving this specific mineral in order to help power you through? Or is it consuming more of this mineral and burning through more of this mineral at this specific point, chapter, and time in your life? That's the key. And for everyone, because they're so unique, what works for one person, like what works for Deborah, versus what works for Ask Mrs. Logan, are different in order to achieve a certain level of homeostasis where your body is A-okay and functioning. So this is a very important thing to note. Sweets often in scientific studies indicates sulfur deficiency. So what you'd want to look for and want to increase in your diet would be eggs. You can have them any old kind of way: sauteed, poached, scrambled, added to certain dishes. Peas, green peas, spinach, and lettuce. The awesome thing about sweets, especially where spinach is concerned, as you'll notice, magnesium and sweets in general also have spinach as a listing. So look for twofers is what I love to refer to this as. So if there's one item based on what you need in your life, and I can discuss it with you when we have the get to know you session. Definitely go ahead, look on edibleaddiction.com and pull up my calendar, and you'll be able to book one. But based on your time in your life and what you need specifically is the key, and that makes you feel human and superhuman is my goal here. Too many carbs. Before I go off tangent. Too many carbs. Remember how carbs work in the body. The body needs carbs because it needs glucose extracted from those carbs so your cells can use that glucose to energize them, because glucose for your cells, they use it for energy. So when you eat carbs, what happens is that your insulin levels, they spike. If you eat only carbs, your insulin levels spike super fast and super high, followed by a huge crash about 1 hour later, which leaves your body scrambling and looking for sugar. And then you're reaching for something that you swore you wouldn't reach for. So what's the solution? I always believe in giving you power-packed advice that gives you a solution. The solution to this, guys, is fat and protein, because fat and protein, what it does, it suppresses ghrelin. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. So anytime you begin to feel hungry, that's ghrelin kind of nudging at you, urging you to eat. So when you prevent those sharp, drastic upticks in insulin because you only ate carbs and just give it a slow, steady rise, it will slowly descend and go down. And that is what will allow you to control your sugar cravings and begin to cut out certain sugars that you don't want to eat. Finally, under the biological, not enough sleep. Now, I am guilty of this, especially since the pandemic, because if anyone saw my last post, I talked about the importance of balancing a little bit. Well, maybe that was the post before last, but essentially it's been 9 months since this pandemic began and sleep is very light. So I'm guilty, but I will share with you, not enough sleep basically lowers your brain's ability to control impulses. So it's basically the equivalent of when that little voice in your ear says, you should get the cookie. You should get all the cookies. Normally you might have a chance resisting that little voice, but without sleep, that voice is loud it's proud, and it's very compelling. So this was a quick bird's eye view of take the guesswork out of cutting sugar cravings. Guys, hopefully this helped you out. Once again, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to type them in the chat, or if anything pops up in your mind after this and looking at this on the replay, definitely let me know and I can definitely answer your questions. Other than that, guys, thank you so very much for hanging out with me. The Dr. Grant Show is on Mondays. We're live on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time and on Saturdays. And the goal of this show is for any woman that suffers from overeating, binge eating, food cravings, emotional eating, stress eating, or food addiction. The goal of this show is to give you tips and advice and tools that will put you on the right path. And we do that by talking about and giving you tools to help you reprogram your subconscious mind. And when you do that, it builds the bridge to get you from where you are right here to where you want to be. And you can cross that bridge and you can stay over here in this land over here, which is where you want to be, where you can live to your full potential. You can step up as your full self. You're like a non-stick coating to any problems that happen in your life. And this is where we tap into cooking based on what it is that you like. Avoiding foods that contain certain additives that taste good. And the fitness. So the belly dancing, the yoga tips, and helping you in all those different ways. I'm giving you the complete trifecta. And this is really almost a sneak peek into the Edible Addiction Mentorship Program as well. It's just, this is your bird's eye view in the Edible Addiction Mentorship Program. That's where we do the deep dive based on what is specifically going on with you, which I'll be starting up in January. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me for the Dr. Grant Show. I will see you guys soon. If you have any questions or if you want to set up a free get to know you session so that you can find personalized ways to be healthier, stronger, faster, log on to edibleaddiction.com. Much love to you guys. Bye.